Heartwarming moment. Billionaire reveals amazing help for poor mom's child. Touching life-changing story unfolds. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, where everyone knows your name and the air hangs heavy with dreams both lived and lost, a story began to unfold that would challenge the very soul of community and trust. Sarah, a single mother with a fierce spirit, worked 2 grueling jobs just to make ends meet. By day, she poured coffee at a local diner, where regulars greeted her with warm smiles. By night, she scrubbed floors in the town's offices, her body aching from exhaustion, but her heart glowing with love for her spirited son, Tommy. Bright and inquisitive, Tommy navigated life in a wheelchair, his laughter ringing through their humble home, a beautiful chaos filled with toys scattered across the floor, and bills piled haphazardly on the kitchen table. "Mom, one day I'm going to that therapeutic school," Tommy would shout, his eyes shining with hope as he wheeled himself around the living room, the smell of home-cooked meals wafting through the air. But with every smile, every laugh, came the weight of mounting medical expenses that hung over Sarah like a dark cloud. Each bill was a stone in her heart, a reminder of what they did not have. Yet, Sarah suspected that as long as they had each other, they could weather any storm. Word of their struggles reached an unexpected visitor, Jack, a billionaire tech mogul looking to give back to the community that raised him. He organized a community fundraiser, believing in Tommy's bright future and wanting to lift them from the grasp of financial despair. However, excitement was quickly overshadowed by whispers and unease. How could a man with boundless wealth truly understand their world? As townsfolk crowded into the fundraiser, mingling smiles kept trying to mask uncertain frowns. What did Jack know of their sacrifices? As donations poured in, discussions turned heated. "He is just trying to affirm his wealth," one older gentleman scoffed. "What is he really after?" And Sarah, standing in the back, felt a churning in her stomach. She knew Jack meant well, but how could anyone like him truly grasp the depth of their struggle? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah found Jack at the fundraiser, a man brimming with good intentions, but removed from their reality. "We need to talk," she said, her voice steady, yet the tremor of fear lingered beneath. "You don't know what it's like to choose between groceries and therapy sessions." Their conversation was charged, raw truths surfacing painfully, a deep exploration into the privilege of his wealth versus her daily grind of survival. Just as it seemed they might find common ground, a misunderstanding sparked like wildfire, deepening the rift between them. Threads of mistrust knotted tighter, as the community's doubts loomed larger. As Sarah stood before her neighbors, the weight of their hopes and fears collided. Could Jack's intentions clear a path for change? Or would it only serve to solidify their separation? The air felt thick with tension. Would they ever escape the grip of inequality? Would understanding come, or would walls go up even higher? The future remained precarious, their dreams hanging in the balance, a question mark, waiting to be answered. The tension hung in the air like heavy fog, making each breath feel like an uphill climb. Sarah packed her hopes into every single word, but even as she tried to bridge the gap between her reality and Jack's world, it felt like speaking 2 different languages. Jack's face, still kind yet increasingly strained, mirrored his struggle. "I want to help, Sarah," he said, voice thick with emotion. "I didn't realize how hard this truly is. Wanting to help isn't enough," she replied, her voice rising, a wave of frustration spilling forth. "You can't just swoop in with money and think that fixes everything. This is our life. Her heart raced as she saw the disappointment flicker in Jack's eyes. Around them, the crowd watched, whispers weaving through the collected faces, a fabric of mixed emotions. "She's right, you know," one woman muttered, her brow furrowed. "You can't buy understanding." The billionaire's shoulders slumped, weighed down by the very scrutiny he had hoped to alleviate. "What do you want me to do?" he asked, his voice suddenly small. "I thought this would help." Tommy was still on stage with a few local kids, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. He maneuvered his wheelchair with grace, laughter spilling from him like sunshine. It was moments like these, when he radiated pure joy, that made all the stress worth it for Sarah. She wanted to bottle that happiness and share it with the world. She turned from Jack, torn between compassion for this man who meant well, and the fear that nothing would change. The gulf between them felt insurmountable. But the way Tommy laughed, a pure, unrestrained sound, pulled her back to the present. "Let us think this through," Sarah said, her tone softening. "What if you spent a day in our world? You'd understand. Maybe then we could find some common ground." Jack blinked, his expression thoughtful. "A day?" "Yes. Shadow me at the diner, or come with us to physical therapy. You'll see what it feels like to scrape by, to watch your child struggle." A flicker of realization ignited in Jack's eyes, as if a switch had been flipped. "You really think that would change anything?" "Sometimes it takes a step outside your bubble to see the truth," she replied, hoping desperately that her words resonated. The crowd fell into a contemplative silence. They watched as Jack weighed her suggestion, the tension that had enveloped the room giving way to a sense of cautious optimism. Could this truly be the bridge they needed? As daylight began to fade outside, Sarah felt a gentle tug in her heart. Maybe they could find a way forward. But it would take trust, and trust took time. Jack nodded slowly. "All right. I'm in. I'll spend a day with you." A murmur of surprise rippled through the crowd. Some faces brightened, others remained skeptical. Sarah held her breath. Could this be the beginning of change, or just another empty promise? Hope mingled with doubt as she replied, "Thank you, Jack, for trying. I just want what is best for Tommy." In that moment, amid the shadows of uncertainty, a fragile thread of connection began to weave itself. Little did they know, that day would challenge not just their lives, but the very fabric of their small town. As Sarah looked into Jack's eyes, a flicker of resolve shone back. What had started as a confrontation might just bloom into understanding. But in what ways would their lives intertwine, and what sacrifices would they each have to make? The questions hung in the air, a heavy silence falling once more, leaving them all wondering. Could they forge a new path together, or was that fragile bridge ready to snap? Jack arrived at the diner, with the first rays of morning sunlight piercing through the thick clouds. He stood at the entrance, taking a moment to soak in the worn sign flickering overhead. "A place to eat," it read, but what it really was felt like a refuge for weary souls, like Sarah and Tommy. As the bell jingled, announcing his entrance, the familiar smell of coffee and grease wrapped around him. He spotted Sarah at the counter, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, focused on her work. The hustle and bustle of the morning crowd surrounded her, but she still managed to smile when she noticed him. "Morning," she called, wiping her hands on her apron. "Ready?" Jack nodded, his nerves twisting in his stomach. "As ready as I'll ever be." "Let us get started then," she replied, leading him into the heart of the diner, where the chaos felt organized and warm. They worked side by side, serving regulars and newcomers alike. Jack moved with surprising grace, but each order felt like a glimpse into the life Sarah had described. He noticed how she remembered everyone's names, their usual orders, the small details that spoke of care. Coffee, black, and don't forget the extra shot of love. A man yelled from a booth, his grin contagious. Coming right up, Mr. Hargrove. Sarah shot back, her laughter echoing against the walls. Jack felt a lump in his throat. These tiny interactions were a language of their own, filled with empathy, connection, and community. No amount of money could replicate what was happening here. As they settled into a rhythm, the diner's heart thrummed with life. Jack began to understand these weren't just customers. They were a family, in all its imperfect glory. Each shared story, each laugh, spoke louder than any charity he could give. But it wasn't just the interactions that struck him. It was Sarah's relentless energy and warmth. She moved from table to table, never wavering, as if each moment mattered. During a lull, they took a breather. Sarah leaned against the counter, wiping sweat from her brow. "You're doing great," she smiled at him, but there was a hint of concern under those bright blue eyes. "A lot of people would have just given up by now." Jack sighed, ducking his head. "I didn't think it'd be like this." "Most people don't," she said, a tinge of sadness creeping into her voice. "It's easy to skip past the tough parts when you have the means to do so." Their conversation was interrupted by a rollover of chairs and table noises as Tommy wheeled in, his face lighting up like a candle. "Mom, guess what?" "Hey, buddy. What's up?" Sarah said, kneeling beside him, her face beaming with pride. "I can make the ramps all by myself now," Tommy declared, a mix of excitement and determination lighting up his young face. Jack watched, his chest tightening with an unexpected warmth. This was what victories smelled like, small triumphs spinning into the greater tapestry of life. This was the world Sarah wanted him to understand. But as they shared a moment, laughter spilling easily between them, Jack couldn't shake the weight of his previous life. His world of wealth felt miles away, but could he really blend these two lives? Before he could voice his thoughts, a loud crash broke through the laughter. A rowdy group of teenagers had knocked over a stack of plates. Gasps cascaded through the diner. Jack's heart raced as he watched Sarah bound toward the chaos, ready to smooth things over with her usual grace. But what he saw next sent shockwaves through him. The teens didn't appear remorseful. They were laughing, reveling in the mess they created. Jack's pulse quickened. This wasn't just a diner, it was a battleground of dignity and respect. Would he step in and take charge, or would he let Sarah handle it on her own? Questions flooded his mind. How could he protect this fragile piece he had begun to appreciate? As he took a step forward, a sudden realization washed over him. The moment called for more than money or influence, it called for genuine understanding. With his heart pounding, he braced himself, feeling the weight of the choices ahead. Would he stand strong with Sarah, or fall back into his old habits? And as the echoes of the crash faded, one thought screamed in his head: this day was only just beginning. Jack took a breath, his heart pounding like a drum. He straightened his back and stepped forward, wading into the chaos. If this was his chance to stand alongside Sarah, he couldn't let it slip away. There was a lesson here, a chance to show that dignity was worth fighting for. "Hey!" he called out, his voice steady despite the nerves roiling in his stomach. The laughter quieted, and several heads turned. "You can't just throw things around like that. Someone could get hurt." One of the teens, a tall guy with unruly hair, smirked. "Relax, dude. It's just a few plates." It was the exact kind of attitude that made Jack's blood boil. Yet, he forced himself to stay calm. It's not just about the plates. It's about respect. Respect for the people who work hard here. For your community, he said, glancing at Sarah, who was watching with a mix of gratitude and surprise. The teen raised an eyebrow, clearly puzzled. "Whatever, man. What do you know?" Jack felt heat rising in his cheeks, thinking quickly. "I know it took a lot of effort to set this up. To create a place like this." He gestured around the diner, where the warmth from the kitchen mingled with the laughter of the regulars. You think this is just a joke? It's someone's life. The other teens exchanged glances, confusion etched on their faces. For a moment, Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they were starting to get it. Maybe you think it's cool to act tough. But what's really brave is treating everyone with kindness, he pressed, his voice rising just enough to be heard over the murmurs in the diner. Tommy wheeled closer, his eyes wide, sensing the tension in the air. Mom's right. It can take a long time to clean up a mess. And cleaning feels better when you do it together. His innocent proclamation cut through the uncertainty like a beacon. There was a beat of silence. Maybe they were all contemplating the weight of those words. Jack felt a tightness in his chest. Could he really reach them? Finally, the tall boy shrugged, his bravado dimming. Fine, whatever. We didn't mean to make a mess. He gestured to his friends, and reluctantly, they began picking up the broken plates. As the tension eased, Jack turned to Sarah. Her eyes sparkled with pride, but there was also a hint of surprise, as if he had faced a threat he hadn't expected to deal with. You did well, she whispered, her voice low. Thanks, Jack replied, feeling a warmth spread through him. I didn't mean for it to get so intense. Sarah chuckled gently, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. Sometimes, it takes a spark. You've got more fight in you than you know. That made him smile. As they both watched the teens awkwardly gather the remains of their thoughtless prank, there was a new sense of hope in the diner and understanding that emerged from the chaos. People were coming together, if only for a moment, to mend what had been broken. But as laughter returned slowly to the tables and patrons returned to their meals, Jack's eyes caught movement at the entrance. A woman stood there, her expression one of uncertainty. She was weathered and tired, eyes searching the diner as if desperately looking for something or someone. With a flash of intuition, Jack's heart raced once more. Sarah? He asked, his voice low and urgent. Do you know her? Sarah turned, and her expression shifted dramatically, transforming into one of alarm. Oh no, not now. The air felt heavy. Jack could feel the tension rise again. What does she want? No answer came, but the ripple of discontent was palpable all around them. Jack realized the day was far from over. Regardless of his decision earlier, another challenge was swiftly approaching. Would he be able to navigate this one too? With thoughts spiraling, Jack braced himself. The next chapter of this unfolding story was just beginning. Jack's gaze darted back to the woman as she stepped further into the diner, her shoes worn and her clothes frayed. The moment was surreal, like watching a storm cloud move in on a sunny day. Patrons paused, their laughter fading, replaced by a hushed curiosity that thickened the air. Sarah, Jack said again, his voice barely above a whisper now, a mixture of concern and confusion. Was she an old friend? A stranger? What was her connection to Sarah? She's not supposed to be here, Sarah finally confessed, her voice trembling. Not now. What do you mean? Should I talk to her? What is going on? Jack felt a surge of protectiveness. Whoever this woman was, she instilled fear in Sarah's eyes, and that made him uneasy. Sarah shook her head, her expression tight. No, just let me handle it. Each word was laced with urgency. Jack wanted to respect her space, but a nagging sense of duty urged him to step in. The woman spotted them, her gaze locking onto Sarah like a compass honing in on true north. With a deep breath, she moved closer, her approach slow and deliberate. Jack could see the shadows of distress etched around her eyes. The tremor in her hands mirrored his own racing heartbeat. Sarah, the woman called, her voice cracked like dry twigs underfoot. I need to talk to you. It's important. Tommy, still near Jack, tugged at his sleeve. Who is she? There was a hint of innocence mixed with the unspoken challenge. Tommy didn't like the tension, and neither did Jack. The air changed as the diner held its breath. Jack could sense the weight of secrets hanging like heavy curtains in a dim room. What on earth could this woman want that sent Sarah into such a state? "Can you just give me a minute?" Sarah's voice was sharp, her words meant to protect whatever fragile piece she had left. But her body language told another story. She was coiled tightly, ready to spring. "Sarah!" The woman's voice rose, catching the attention of nearby diners. "You know I have nowhere else to turn." Jack met Sarah's eyes, which were pleading yet resolute. He wanted to reach out, to offer strength, but something held him back. This was her battle. If he stepped in now, would he only make things worse? The diner was alive with murmurs, each patron leaning in, eager for the unfolding drama. Jack tuned in, sensing the weight of the moment, as if it would shift the ground beneath their feet. "Can't you see I'm trying to move on?" Sarah snapped, the pain in her voice cutting deeper than Jack expected. A hush spread across the room, the tension palpable. Everyone was present, yet they felt like onlookers to something that should have been deeply private. Jack's heart sank. He felt the sharp pang of it, the split between wanting to protect Sarah and knowing she needed the freedom to face this tempest on her own terms. But what if this storm wasn't just about her? What if it affected more than just them? What if it threatened everyone in the diner? Tommy was watching wide-eyed, unable to comprehend the underlying current. Jack felt his chest tighten. Whatever was about to happen needed him. As the woman stepped closer, desperation etched into her features. Jack stood, bracing himself. "Why don't we all sit down and talk about this?" he suggested, surprising even himself. The room fell silent. All eyes shifted from Sarah, who looked stunned, to the enigmatic woman who seemed to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. What would happen next? Would this reveal something deeper about Sarah? And what twist would the day bring? Jack's mind raced, unsure of where this path would lead him, but determined to find out. In that charged atmosphere, the next chapter was just a heartbeat away. The tension in the diner hung like a thick fog, wrapping everyone in its grasp. After Jack's words hung in the air, there was an unexpected moment of stillness. Even the clattering of dishes seemed to pause, giving way to silence as all eyes turned towards Sarah. The woman took another step forward, her expression wavering between hope and despair. "Please, Sarah," she implored, her voice softer now yet firm. "I really need to tell you, and I can't do this without you." Tommy whimpered softly, drawing closer to Jack. He could feel the child's small body vibrating with an uncertainty that mirrored his own. What if this confrontation led Sarah to reveal truths too heavy to bear? Jack glanced at her, finding her frozen in an unmoving state, her eyes locked on the woman as if she were trapped in the gaze of a wild animal. "Can we talk outside?" Jack interjected, breaking the oppressive silence. "This feels too much for everyone to watch." He gestured toward the diner door, hoping that it would provide a moment of privacy where they could unpack whatever lay ahead. Finally, Sarah took a deep breath, her shoulders dropping slightly as she nodded. "Okay." Her voice was barely audible, revealing the cracks in her composure. They slowly made their way toward the exit, the woman hesitating just for a moment as she glanced back at the diners bearing witness. As they stepped outside, the cool air felt refreshing, almost shocking against the tension that had been cocooning them. Jack could hear the slight creaking of the old diner sign above the door. He stood protectively beside Sarah, all too aware of how exposed she was in this moment. The woman looked at them, her face a canvas of emotions, fear, regret, but also a smidge of determination. "Sarah, I know you want to forget. But it's not just about you anymore. I didn't know how else to reach you." "What do you mean?" Sarah shot back, her voice quivering with pent-up emotion. "You've already hurt me too much. What more do you want from me?" "I don't want anything," she said quickly, shaking her head. "I came to warn you. About what is coming. They're looking for you." A chill swept through Jack as those words landed. He watched Sarah's face drain of color, and for a brief moment, all he could think of was how he wished he could protect her from this looming threat. "Why don't we take it back a step?" Jack said softly, trying to goad Sarah back into a sense of safety. "Who are they?" The woman swallowed hard, gathering her courage. "It's complicated, but you need to understand. You're not in the clear yet. There are things you need to know about your past. About your parents." She paused, taking in the weight of her own admission. "About the choices they made. The consequences they've set in motion." Sarah closed her eyes, her expression shifting from disbelief to something deeper panic, maybe? Jack felt like he was watching a storm build up on the horizon. He reached out, taking her hand and squeezing it in support. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together," he assured her. The woman's lips trembled slightly. "You have to trust me. I can help, but you have to be willing to listen. You might think this part of your life is over, but it's just beginning." Heavy words pierced the air, each syllable echoing back to Jack's heart. What lay ahead seemed daunting and uncertain. He took a deep breath, hoping that their moment of vulnerability could transform into a shared strength. As he looked at Sarah, desperately searching her eyes for a flicker of hope, he felt a surge of determination. "We can handle this. We're not alone." But as fear began to settle in Sarah's eyes again, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger struggle. What other secrets loomed in the shadows? And would they be strong enough to face the birds of their past that suddenly took flight? Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she processed the woman's words. "Looking for me? Why? What did my parents do?" Her voice was barely more than a whisper, trembling with each syllable. Jack felt her pulse racing beneath his fingers as he held her hand. He could see the uncertainty etched on her face, a mixture of fear and confusion that twisted his insides. The woman stepped closer, urgency in her eyes. "They made choices that put you in danger. You've been living under a shadow you've yet to understand. They thought they were protecting you, but—" She hesitated, glancing at Tommy. The small boy had been quiet, watching with wide eyes. Sarah had tried to shield him from so much, including the weight of her past. "I can't go into all the details here, but you need to come with me. I can explain everything." "Come with you?" Sarah's voice rose, disbelief creeping in. "You expect me to trust you? After everything?" "I know it sounds insane," the woman said, shaking her head, "but my intentions are good. I want to help you. I need to help you." Jack's mind raced. Decisions needed to be made quickly, but fear gnawed at him. What if they stepped into something dangerous? "Sarah," he urged quietly, "what do you want to do?" She looked torn, her eyes darting between Jack and the woman. "I have to know the truth," she finally admitted, her voice steadying as the need for answers began to outweigh her fear. "I can't keep running from my past, no matter how painful it is." Jack felt a swell of pride as she spoke, but it was accompanied by a sinking feeling in his gut. "But are you ready for whatever might come with that? Because once you step forward, there's no turning back." Maybe that's what I need," she replied, her breath coming in shaky puffs. "I can't pretend it doesn't matter anymore. I have to face it." The woman nodded, a flicker of hope lighting her face. "Let us go to the old warehouse on the edge of town. It's safe there, and you'll have answers. Trust me." Jack hesitated, feeling the weight of responsibility. What if this is a trap? What if we're walking into a storm? Sarah held tightly to his hand, her gaze searching his face. "Jack, I need you. I can't face this alone," she pleaded. There was a fire in her voice that he hadn't heard before, a determination that clawed at his heart. With a sigh, Jack nodded. "Okay. We'll go. But we have to be careful. No matter what happens, we'll stick together." As they began to walk, The sound of their footsteps echoed in the stillness of the night. The chill in the air settled in his bones, but the fire in Sarah's eyes sparked something in him, a feeling of resolve he hadn't anticipated. "What if this doesn't end well?" Tommy whispered, looking up at the adults, his small face etched with concern. Jack knelt down to his level, offering a reassuring smile. "Whatever happens, I promise we won't let anything hurt you. You're safe with us." The boy nodded, clutching the fabric of Jack's jacket. But deep down, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into the unknown, where shadows could conceal dangers they had yet to comprehend. The warehouse loomed closer, its silhouette dark against the moonlight, like a watchful guardian hiding secrets of its own. When they reached the entrance, the heavy door creaked open, welcoming them into a realm of uncertainty. Sarah stepped through first, her footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Jack followed closely, his heart pounding with each step. What awaited them inside? Would the revelations bind them closer together, or would the truth tear them apart? As the door clicked shut behind them, the shadows enveloped them, hinting at the struggles and secrets that lay ahead. What awaited them in the heart of this mystery? The warehouse smelled of dust and musty wood. Moonlight poured through the grime-covered windows, casting eerie shapes on the concrete floor. Sarah paused, her heart racing as the realization set in. She was stepping into her past, into answers she had sought for too long. "Are you sure we should be here?" Jack whispered, anxiety threading his voice. He had taken a protective stance beside her, his presence a comforting weight. The woman turned to them, urgency flickering in her eyes. "This way. We need to find a place where we can talk." She led them deeper into the darkness, navigating through rusted machinery and stacks of old crates. Tommy moved closer to Jack, his small hand intertwining with Jack's. Jack could feel the boy's fear, and it mirrored his own. They were all stepping into a world where the past loomed dangerously close. "Why here?" Sarah pressed, glancing back at the woman. "Why not just tell us in the open?" "Because there are people who are still looking for you," the woman replied, urgency tightening her tone. "Your parents' choices put your life at risk, and they still believe they can find you." Sarah's breath caught in her throat again. Each word settled like a stone in her gut, dredging up memories of her childhood, flashes of her parents' worried faces, whispered conversations that ended when she entered the room. Had they been in danger all along? They finally reached a small office, dimly lit by a flickering bulb hanging from the ceiling. A desk cluttered with papers and old photographs stood in the center. The woman gestured for them to sit. Sarah squared her shoulders and took a seat, her voice trembling but determined. "Tell me everything." Jack perched beside her, ready to support her no matter what came next. The woman sighed, a deep well of emotion flickering across her face. "Your parents were involved in something that spiraled out of control. They thought they were controlling it for your safety, but they made enemies. Dangerous ones." Sarah furrowed her brow, piecing together fragments of the past with this new puzzle. "And not just what collateral damage." "No," the woman insisted, leaning forward. "You're more than that. Your parents wanted to keep you away from their world, thinking it would protect you. But when they tried to disappear, things turned worse." Tommy, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. "What kind of world?" His innocent question broke the tension in the room, if only slightly. "The kind that is dark, filled with secrets and lies," the woman said. "The kind that isn't afraid to hurt others. But you have to understand your parents loved you. They thought they were doing the right thing, keeping you out of it." Sarah clenched her fists, anger and frustration bubbling to the surface. "But they didn't give me the chance to choose. They made choices that erased my past." "Sometimes love means making the hardest choices," the woman replied softly, her gaze locking with Sarah's. "But you have the power to change your future, to take back what they tried to shield you from." "What does that mean?" Jack asked, sensing the shift in Sarah's demeanor. What are we supposed to do now? The woman leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. You need to confront the people who want to harm you. You must reclaim your life. Only then will you find closure. Sarah's heart raced, a flood of conflicting emotions churning within her. Could she really face whatever had been lurking in her past? What if it's too dangerous? Jack cautioned, worry etched on his face. It is, the woman admitted. But you have each other. You're stronger together. And now that you know the truth, there is no going back. In that moment, Sarah felt a mix of fear and fierce determination swelling within her. The woman was right, this could change everything. But what if, in facing her fears, she lost what little she had left? As they sat in silence, the weight of reality bore down on them. Answers swirled in the air like the dust motes dancing in the fading light. Are you ready for this? Jack finally asked, turning to Sarah. Her resolve solidified, a spark igniting in her chest. I have to be. There is no time to waste. But as the words hung in the air, a distant noise echoed through the warehouse, something moving outside the heavy door. What if they weren't alone? What if the danger lurking in her past had finally caught up to them? The door rattled, sending a wave of fear coursing through Sarah. Tommy gasped, squeezing Jack's hand tighter. Jack's gaze flicked toward the door, muscles tensing, ready to shield Sarah and Tommy from whatever was about to come. Stay quiet, the woman instructed, lowering her voice to a whisper. They can't find you here. Sarah felt her heart pounding against her ribs, drowning out all other sounds. She glanced around the dimly lit office, searching for anything that could be used as a weapon, just in case. The old photographs on the desk stared back at her family smiling, happy moments preserved in time. Her own family felt like a ghost now, shadows drifting in her mind. The noise outside continued, accompanied by hushed voices. They were close, too close, and a cold shiver crept down her spine. Do you think they know we're here? Jack whispered, his eyes wide and serious, scanning for an escape route. They might, the woman replied, urgency creeping back into her voice. But if we remain calm, we can wait this out. They wouldn't expect anyone to be in here. Sarah's thoughts spiraled. How had her life led her to this moment? The woman's revelations gnawed at her, deepening her resolve but amplifying her fear. She didn't want to be a target. She didn't want to have anyone else in danger because of her. Another thud echoed, this time louder, with a heavy bang rattling the door. Tommy jumped, eyes wide, tears welling as he looked up at Jack, seeking comfort in the older boy's strength. Jack wrapped his arm around Tommy's shoulders protectively, his eyes now hard and fierce. We need a plan, Sarah breathed, her mind racing. Whatever is out there, we can't let them just walk in. The woman took a breath, her gaze shifting to the desk. We can barricade the door with some of these crates. Will that hold them? Jack asked, doubt creeping into his voice. It'll buy us time, the woman replied, tension lacing her words. That's all we need to figure out our next move. Sarah nodded, adrenaline pushing aside her fear. Okay, let us do it. They sprang into action, moving quietly to stack crates against the doorway. Each creak of wood against wood made her pulse race, but she forced herself to focus. Just as they finished the barricade, whispers turned to shouts outside. We know you're in there. Come out! A voice shouted, mingling anger with desperation. Sarah felt her breath hitch. Were they serious? Did these people know who she was? How had they found her? What do we do? Tommy whimpered, trembling beside Jack. Just stay close, Jack said, his voice steady despite the chaos brewing just beyond the door. We'll figure this out. The noises grew louder, footsteps thudding heavily against the concrete outside. Fear threatened to swallow Sarah whole, but she stood firm. Suddenly, The woman stepped closer to Sarah, her intense gaze piercing through the shadows. "When I give the signal, we need to make a run for it. Are you ready?" Sarah swallowed, a lump forming in her throat. Was she really going to run headlong into danger? The swirling emotions tangled within her: fear, anger, courage, all battling for dominance. "Ready," Sarah said, though her voice was barely a whisper. In that moment, an unexpected empathy sparked within her. This was her chance to reclaim what had been taken from her: her life, her choices. The woman's eyes softened, filled with understanding. "Whatever happens next, know that you're not alone." As the silhouettes outside loomed closer, Sarah felt a surge of determination. She wanted to confront her past, to uncover the truth and fight for her future. Then, with a fierce whisper, the woman raised her hand, signaling, "Now!" They burst toward the back door, heart pounding as adrenaline surged through them. In that moment, Sarah realized she was ready to face whatever awaited her, to step out of the shadows of her past. But just as they reached the exit, a loud crash resonated through the room. The door burst open, flooding the space with harsh light and shadowy figures. "Stop right there!" Fear froze them. The real fight was about to begin. Would they find the escape they desperately sought, or would they fall into the clutches of the danger lurking just out of sight? The dim light of the warehouse barely illuminated the fear etched on Sarah's face, as she found herself facing the shadows flooding through the doorway. Jack instinctively shielded Tommy behind him, heart racing, bracing for whatever was about to happen. Time seemed to stretch, drawing out the suspense of the moment. "Stop right there!" A voice boomed, its authority echoing off the concrete walls. The figures wavered in the brightness, their silhouettes menacing and intense, each moment amplifying the stakes that had been escalating for so long. Sarah's mind spun. They had known she was here. Whatever protective bubble she thought she had managed to build around Tommy and herself was shattered in an instant. Panic clawed at her stomach, but a flicker of determination ignited within her. "Jack, we can't let them take us," she whispered fiercely, noting how Jack's body bristled with a palpable anger, one she hadn't seen before in him. "We have to, no matter what. They won't harm you or Tommy," Jack interrupted, his voice low and steady. "Stay close to me." The woman, still beside them, took a step forward, her fear replaced with a fierce resolve. "You don't understand who you're dealing with," she shot at the approaching figures. "You won't find what you're looking for here. You may want to leave. Now." Each word dripped with defiance, and for a moment, it stunned the group into silence. Sarah's heart raced, wondering if this was a bluff, a gamble that could land them all in deeper trouble. The figure in the front, a rugged man with inked arms and a cocky smirk, pushed through the others. "Way to go. You want to play brave?" he scoffed, moving closer. "But this isn't some game, lady. You've got something we need, and I'm not leaving without it." Jack edged closer to Sarah and Tommy, every instinct screaming for them to retreat. "We can't negotiate with them." Jack's voice was cool, protective. "We have to get out." The woman took a deep breath, a flicker of bravery igniting in her eyes. "What you want isn't here. This is about Sarah and her son. Leave them out of it." The gruff man sneered. "You think they can just escape? Not a chance. Her past is our business now." "Not anymore," Sarah shouted, her voice laced with fierce determination. It flew out of her like a spark, igniting something inside her. "I'm not a pawn anymore. I choose my own path." The words hung in the air, tangible and unyielding. For a moment, she was struck by the strength she felt surging through her, confidence piecing together the fragments of her shattered past. It was about the protection of her family. It was about her reclaiming what had been so cruelly snatched away. "Whatever it is you think you can do to me, you can't control this anymore," she declared, glaring directly at him. She could see surprise and anger flicker across his features, and a rush of exhilaration washed over her. Suddenly, Tommy squeaked from behind Jack, "Mom, I'm scared." Sarah turned to him, heart breaking at the sight of his terrified expression. "You're safe with us, Tommy. I promise." She knelt down to him, gathering him in a warm embrace. "Jack, get him out now. I'll hold him off." Desperation filled Jack's eyes. "No, I want to leave you. We can't. I need you to trust me. Just go," she insisted. The urgency in her voice brooked no argument, and Jack hesitated but then nodded, gripping Tommy's small shoulders tightly. He began ushering him backward, inching toward the shadows. "Let us go, Tommy. Follow me closely, don't look back." As they turned to flee, the rugged man's cocky smile transformed into a scowl, and he lunged forward. "You wouldn't get away that easily." Jack could hear the ruckus behind him, but adrenaline surged as he led Tommy quietly and quickly through the maze of crates until they found a side door. "Just a little more," Jack murmured, urging Tommy onward. They slipped through the door and into the cool night air, but the world outside felt like a different reality compared to the chaos of the warehouse. But Sarah was still inside, and she was not giving up. She would fight for her son and for the freedom they all desired. Meanwhile, in the warehouse, Sarah had moved, eyes on the man who thought he could intimidate her. "You want to fight? You want to get one without a challenge?" His eyes narrowed, and in that moment of defiance, she understood what she had to do. "If you think your threats can silence me, think again. I'm not what you remember." She braced herself, adrenaline coursing through her as she prepared for his response. "Let us see about that," he sneered, lunging toward her. But this time, Sarah was ready. With a surprising strength, she sidestepped, using the momentum of his aggression against him. A loud crash echoed in the warehouse as he stumbled past her into a stack of crates, the wooden boxes tumbling down, creating a barrier between them. "Get out of my life," she shouted, her courage roaring louder than any fear that once controlled her. The chaos had started again, her thoughts whirling, but she allowed it to fuel her fight. "Sarah!" The cry echoed through the space, and she spun, heart leaping as she recognized Jack's voice seep through the chaos. "Here!" she called back, stepping toward the door. Jack and Tommy were waiting just outside, and as fear melted into relief, she dashed towards them, freedom opening her heart wide. With one final glance back, Sarah surged forward, her voice steady. "We're coming back. I want to let this end with fear. I reclaim my life and my past." As they began to run, Sarah felt waves of fresh hope filling her family beside her, and together they would finally confront the shadows casting their lives in darkness. There was distance between them, and the danger now, but the real journey was just beginning. And this time, they would face whatever came next hand in hand. But first, they needed to leave the past behind for good. If you were touched by this heartwarming conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the content you love. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread this incredible journey together.